Welcome into sportsbookreview.com. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And this is the college football bowl season introduction. I guess that's what we'll call it. We've got a bowl game that is currently on right now. App State's up 35-14 over North Texas. The line was 21 or 21.5, depending upon when you got it.
Yep.
So
big numbers.
So it's right there, right on the number. Did you see the scuffle?
I missed all scuffles.
So
I missed all pregame.
There was a late hit on the North Texas quarterback. North Texas got upset about it. It becomes this big thing either way. It is what it is. Lots to go over today. We're going to talk about our favorite bowl games. We're going to talk about the playoffs. We are going to talk about some early bets, early leans to get into. Now, we will also have an individual video for every single bowl game. We've already got several up because there was a game today. There's 2 games tomorrow. There's a game the next day. It just keeps on going and going and going. There are no breaks in bowl season other than for the NFL on Sunday. So other than that, we are rocking and rolling.
They will go up against the NFL a couple of times on Saturday and I think Friday, Christmas Day.
Yeah.
But I don't think the games. I don't think the games are at the same time.
They're not.
So they don't really go up against a Saturday. They actually do go up against them. But I think that's the only time they step in front of that train.
You are correct. So let's go ahead and kind of give you the rundown. First off, sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. There's an article up for every single individual bowl game. It's like breaking everything down, right? Stats, trends, etc. Everything you need to know to bet these games, they're going to have it right there. sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. Or you can just click the link that's down in the description. Very easy to do. While you're doing that, you can also click the like button for us. It's that little thumbs up button. Looks like this thing right here. Very easy to do. And you can make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because even though college football is winding down, we will go ahead and tell you there's a lot of other stuff going on.
That's
NBA
right.
is kicking in.
On this channel.
Yes, college basketball is ripping and roaring right now. The guys from 3-Man Weave do a daily show here and knocking out all the college basketball stuff each day. Great content. So, and of course, the NFL continues to roll on. Donnie and Kyle doing their thing. So make sure you are subscribed to this channel. We will be back doing the same thing next year. But we still have plenty of bowl games. We have the national championship game on January 11th. Lots to get into. So subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share it out. Tell your friends about it. Jump into the comments. We would love to hear from you. Let you know what we're thinking, and we would love to hear what you're thinking as well. So with that said, what else are we missing? The Pick 6 contest still rolling along. sbrpicks.com/pick6. That's PICK and the number 6. Make sure that you jump in there, and it's free to enter every week. You can pick NFL games. You can pick college games. Just pick 6 of them against the number. You can win up to $1,600 in cash prizes. With that said, let's talk about the notes and rankings. Now, we started with 42 bowl games.
We knew we weren't getting that.
Yeah, no.
A couple of weeks ago, you told me how many were we down to?
We're down.
Not what we are now. A couple of weeks ago when we had this conversation, it was 30 something.
We were down to 33.
And I said I would take the under. We're not getting that many.
Right.
That's a lot less than 42.
We have had a total of 15 that were canceled.
Yep.
15 canceled. We have added an additional game, the Montgomery Bowl.
Yeah, the thing. We got a game.
And that's Memphis and FAU. So we're now sitting at 28 bowl games. That does not include the national championship game.
Yep.
So 29 games for bowl season. Not bad. Like, this feels about what it should be.
You think we'll get all these games?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
No, I don't. I think that somehow, something's going to go wrong, and it is what it is. So with that said, I feel good about this. We got games. We have really weird matchups. We've got teams that don't belong in bowl games at all.
Yeah. A lot of teams that don't belong in bowl games.
Let's talk about the CFP rankings right quick from Sunday. And boy, this was a mess. This was a mess. So Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Notre Dame are your playoff teams. You had A&M at 5. Oklahoma jumped all the way up to 6 after beating Iowa State from number 10. So they jump all the way up to 6. Florida loses to Alabama and stays at 7. Now, it makes sense, right? Because you're thinking, all right, Florida wasn't supposed to beat Alabama, but they stayed within the point spread. It was a really close game.
Very close game.
But this is a 3-loss Florida team.
The problem is they should have never been at 7 to begin with.
Agreed. So
That's
at that point,
issue.
if you've already got them at 7, you can't really justify moving them down for a 6-point loss to the number 1 team in the country. Cincinnati at number 8, they moved up 1 spot. That's it. Just ridiculous. So,
but got jumped by a 2-loss team.
Yeah, just ridiculous. So Oklahoma at 8-2, Cincinnati at 9-0. Oklahoma is 2 spots ahead of them with the 3-loss team in between them.
With a 3-loss team between them.
Just ridiculous.
That makes all the sense in the world, though, right?
Georgia at 9, Iowa State at 10. Then Indiana is back at 11, Coastal at 12, and we won't worry about the rest of it. But it just goes to show you, right? One of the funnier things about this.
Well, hang on now. I want to worry about the rest of it only for this reason right here. Louisiana is what, 22?
No, they're number 19.
19. Okay. So if you're a big boy school and you beat Iowa State, then you get to jump 4 spots.
You catapult.
If you're a little boy school and you beat Iowa State, pretty handily, I might add, on the road, not neutral site, then. Or not at home. Wait a minute. Where's this?
No, it was in Ames.
It was in Ames. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so both of them happened in Ames.
No. I mean, like Oklahoma beat them in Jerry World.
Jerry World. That's right.
Yeah.
Neutral site. So this team had to go on the road and beat that same Iowa State team, and they aren't close to it, and they only have 1 loss to another undefeated team. That's also ranked below this other team.
Yes.
That jumped everybody.
2 3-loss teams are ahead of Coastal Carolina, who sits at 11-0. The only other team in all of college football that is sitting at 11-0 is Alabama, the number 1 team in the country. So Birdie jumps in. He said, "Good day, men. Let's find some winners. ASU got there for us, Chris." Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And he put a little smiley face with Tulsa.
I saw a smiley face.
So we know how this goes.
I'll take the shot.
So what I wanted to bring up was how interesting their ranking philosophy was. When it comes to like Ohio State, the committee used Indiana as a good win for Ohio State. However, when it came time to actually applaud Indiana, their 1 loss, which was by 7 on the road.
They said you didn't beat anybody. They said, Indiana, you didn't beat anybody. But wait a minute. We beat all the same people Ohio State beat. But we played more games than them. Now, we did lose to them, but we also played more games than them. And we beat all the same people they beat.
Yeah.
But this team, Team A, Indiana, doesn't have any good wins. And Team B, Ohio State, well, they got plenty of good wins, and we're going to put them in.
Yeah.
Now, listen, we're at a point now where these people are there cannot be any middle ground. There is no third option here. The people making these decisions are either corrupt and don't need to have this job, or they're of a level of incompetence to where they don't need to have this job. It cannot be anything other than that.
So hold on.
They're either on the take.
Well, but that's the part of it, because part of this job is to make sure that the haves continue to be the haves.
That's called corruption.
And that the have-nots do not, but it's all set up by the haves. So it's not corruption if they're the ones that set it up in the first place, right? So don't get me wrong.
That's wrong. That's absolutely wrong.
I agree with you that it's wrong, but that's the way that they set it up. They set it up for this reason.
So how do we change that?
The only way to change it is to make it where the sport benefits overall, and it's not just every man for himself.
But
right?
You know who's got to make that decision, right?
All of them.
You do. Alabama fans do. Ohio State fans, Clemson fans, Oklahoma fans.
Yes.
The juggernauts of each conference have to stand up and say, we believe that is, but not for you to get less. I don't need you to not be as good.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the level of competition. It's not anything to do with you're too good, and so the sport's not good. It is, we have set up a system to where only we benefit. Yeah. And no one else can benefit, which is why we're as good as we are, by the way.
Yes.
I have several solutions that can fix this.
Taylor jumps in, by the way. Good day, boys. Going to miss these SBR videos. Hey, no worries. Plenty of other sports, plenty of other hosts. They are really, really good at their job. And we're going to keep doing what we're doing elsewhere. But we will be back for next college football season. We believe
We hope.
Unless something changes.
Maybe. I don't know.
Paul Taylor jumps in. It will never make sense until they expand the playoff. This is true.
But expanded, it's not going to be any better because literally they would just let Cincinnati in and no other small team would get in.
My solution is
that ain't happening.
And I understand.
We have to break the wheel. Trying to fix a broken wheel is the dumbest thing we've ever tried to convince ourselves we can do.
Hold on.
We must break it. We must take this idea that we have now, shoot it in the head. It has to be set on fire.
Okay. I can get with that, right? I understand where you're coming from. What I'm thinking is once they see how much money goes into, because what they've already done with the Rose Bowl, they've moved it out of, now they kept it in with somebody else that already has a big New Year's Six game, right? So they kept it in family, but they got out of the stranglehold of we have to have it on this. Yes, we have to have it at this date, at this time, et cetera, et cetera. Once they realize, hey, the NFL doesn't just third party their stuff out, right? No. They don't just license it out to whoever where they get to operate it the way they want to. What if we just ran the whole thing ourselves and we bid out like just the championship game, right?
Problem is this collective, we are still a bunch of corrupt sons of bitches that are still running the thing.
You know what changes that corruption though?
What?
Money.
No, because the rich are just going to take more of it.
But what I'm saying is you continue to pull in more money. And if you realize that having more teams in, having more, not teams of the halves, but having it where everybody has an equal shot, and all of a sudden those ratings go bananas, everything. And it's not, we've talked about it. I think Taylor was the one that actually tweeted us about this. He said, NKU, like when they made their NCAA tournament, they knew they weren't going to win the tournament.
No, but I've been bringing this up forever.
Yes. That's why I'm saying 16.
Yeah.
Do 16.
We have to they have to understand. The argument has always been, well, they can't win it, so why let them in? That has to stop. That line of thinking has to stop.
Yeah.
Hey, we didn't think LSU could beat Florida. They did. Upsets happen, okay? When you have a big enough playoff, Final Fours will matter. Elite Eights will matter. You don't have to win it to be able to hang a banner and say, this is historic for our school, our program.
Yes.
So we got to get parity. You can't have a draft in college. I fully understand that. Name, image, and likeness might actually hurt my idea because then players might not need scholarships. None of these schools have a problem with funding their scholarships, right?
Agreed.
None of them. The way we need to do this to where we can get parity is I'm not trying to take scholarships away from big boy schools. You get how many scholarships?
85.
85. You get 85, okay? The worst placed team in the SEC gets 14 more scholarships than you.
Okay.
The next worst, and then you get an extra scholarship based on where you finish all the way up.
That's interesting.
And if we did that conference-wide, division-wide, we would eventually fix this.
William jumps in. He said, can we get you two guys on the committee? Let the gamblers decide. Drain that swamp.
I'll tell you this. I would be fair, and I swear, I would be fair and balanced. I would be one of the most impartial things. I would probably criticize the teams that I love more than I would help them for fear of my credibility being challenged.
Yeah.
That would be something that I would have a problem with. I wouldn't want to recuse myself because I'm an LSU fan or an Ole Miss alumni and I live in the city of Memphis. I would fight and I would poke just as many holes in my schools as I would everybody else's.
Hey, you've always been like that.
Yeah. I'm not afraid of challenging ideas.
No.
I believe that every idea should be challenged to its fullest so that the completion of the idea is its best possible form.
Yeah.
I literally just came up with that scholarship draft thing as we're sitting here talking. I haven't workshopped it, but it sounds good.
It does sound good. I like that.
If Vanderbilt got 14 more scholarships every year for 3 or 4 years, at some point in time, they might not be Bama, but they might be middle of the pack, which is amazing for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I could get down with it. Robbie Westerman, by the way, watching live from Gainesville, Florida. He said, going to miss us during the offseason.
Thank you.
We will miss you guys as well, but no worries. We will continue doing what we do. You guys know what to do. Hey, you can follow us on Twitter, by the way. I'm at Gary WCE.
I'm at Chris B. Giannini.
Just follow us over there. You'll see the other stuff that we're working on. We we ain't leaving. There is no off season in college football. We know how this goes. So Vitalis said uneven, unfair. Chad, of course, is laughing. So we love Chad jumping in here. But it's true. Like, all of this stuff is legit.
At some point in time, I asked you, who do I call? Who do we complain about? How do we fix it? We've been griping about this problem for so long. It's not going to change. How do we change? Let's start trying to figure out, how do we change it?
Yeah.
And then let's start throwing ideas out there and let the people who are corrupt shoot them down. Let them shoot them down publicly.
Oh, Vitalis jumps in, by the way. This was former Indiana AD. That is one thing I wanted to bring up. We did talk about Indiana being held up as a big-time win for Ohio State, but they're not good enough for a New Year's Six game, right? It's just kind of ridiculous. We did have three-loss teams that are in the New Year's Six, which is absolutely absurd. Like, it makes no sense.
But all these undefeated teams,
we don't have Coastal, we don't have Indiana in the New Year's Six, whatever. The former Indiana AD came out and said, "Look, this is a point of the halves in this conference, trying to suppress what is going on, and all it's doing is firing up Indiana more," is what he says. Indiana goes 5-1.
Yes,
and while that's not a fantastic record, we get it, but their only loss on the season was at Ohio State by 7 points, who is now in the playoff. Everybody thinks Ohio State is really good, but Indiana, who hung with them, nobody really thinks about. They're playing a 4-5 Ole Miss team, like, in a bowl game. What are we doing? Why is Indiana not getting a challenge? Why are they not? That's not to say that Ole Miss can't give them a challenge. That's to say, if they lose to Ole Miss, they weren't very good.
They deserve more than this.
Yes, they absolutely deserve more than this. It's just bananas. So either way, Taylor jumps in. Every time Gary Barta came on screen to defend the committee, he seems so slimy. Look, he's the Iowa AD. He's in the room with the Big Ten guys. They are the ones that had to change the rules for Ohio State. They are the ones that had to change the other rules for Ohio State that will now allow more people. I'm getting fired up. I know I am.
But this is a problem.
Yes.
The reason I said I wouldn't have changed the rule for Ohio State the first time, even though it really didn't have much of a negative to it, is what did I say? As soon as you start making compromises, as soon as you start making exceptions to rules no longer begin to matter. So then you begin to change more rules, and then you change more rules, and then rules don't matter at all.
Yes.
You just do whatever you want without with complete impunity, without any consequence at all. Nobody can question, nobody can challenge.
Yeah.
As soon as you start making compromise, I said that. As soon as you make compromises to small, insignificant things that shouldn't matter, you begin justifying making compromises to other things. Man, I said that when they did it the first time to keep Indiana out of that game. It's not about this game. It's not about Ohio State. It is about making compromises. This is a life decision that we are making here.
Yeah. And even though they will justify it away as
there's always a way to justify it,
right?
There's always a way to make justifications for why you're making compromises.
Let's see. Chad says, not to get political, but rules changing and rules for thee, but not for me, has been a problem this entire 2020 COVID year. Tons of examples, and it's disgusting. Vitalis said, can we also talk about how Clemson was the bet of a season too easy? Everyone made a killing. Let's see. Well, gamblers. I don't know what that means, but either way, yes, I mean, it seemed a little too easy for Clemson, but we also thought Notre Dame had a really good shot to win that game.
I lost money on that game, so I don't.
So the last part of this one, we wish we could have seen teams like Louisiana, Coastal, San Jose State, BYU, et cetera, against P5 teams, because putting them against other G5 teams doesn't show anything.
This is suppression as well. This is absolutely suppression as well. There's no reason for Coastal and San Jose. Literally, we talked about all these teams, Louisiana, not having their opportunity to play, BYU, to play a Power 5 school. That's what bowls are for, right?
Yeah, I mean, Louisiana has already shown they beat the Big 12 runner-up.
So if they beat another one, so this was them protecting the Power 5 by saying, we're not going to let y'all play any of these small schools. We're only going to make you play one another and them play one another. Well, Mississippi State, Tulsa, that's it. Cincinnati gets one because they're contractually obligated.
And by the way,
that's the list.
Cincinnati, you get to go play Georgia in Atlanta.
In Atlanta. Congratulations.
I mean, what are we talking about? Vitalis said BYU tomorrow should kill Williams said, we want to see the BYU's, Indiana's, Coastals against the big boys.
Yes.
In the big boys games.
There's no reason Texas should be playing Colorado. Split both of those schools up and let them play somebody else.
Yeah.
Arkansas, TCU, let them play a big boy.
This is the problem with the contractual agreements with bowl games and conferences. Like, the SEC got every team in that they wanted to because they have like 12 bowl tie-ins. Right. Like, that's insane.
Yes.
There's no reason for that.
That's why I said we have to break the wheel. We can't just try to put a Band-Aid on this, expand it, readjust it. We have to set the damn thing on fire. And we have to build something new.
Here's the difference. Not difference. Here's the latest news, by the way. Tennessee is out of the Liberty Bowl. That just came down at 3:13
I was about to say Tennessee's playing West Virginia. Well, why did we get that matchup? Because they didn't want Tulsa to play Tennessee and beat the hell out of them.
And
then the SEC looks bad.
Or whoever.
Or
right?
Yeah.
But what it's probably going to look like, I would imagine that the Liberty Bowl's probably going to call Army now, which was another gripe that we had. Army sitting at 9-2,
now
won the Commander-in-Chief trophy. There's no spot for a bowl game for them. Their tie-in was with the Independence Bowl, and there weren't enough teams for them to have an opponent. So, like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, North Texas today was 4-5, and they are in a bowl game. South Carolina, 2-8, and they just brought in a brand new coach. Like, they've had so many guys opt out, I don't even know that they can compete. And yet, South Carolina's in a bowl game.
But Army doesn't have a spot.
But Army doesn't
get a spot.
They got
to take a playing field. If somebody else can't make a game, then they'll come in last minute.
Yeah.
Not knowing who to prepare for as an opponent, not knowing where they're going to go, just being ready to play anybody at any time.
Which is ridiculous. Like, we love it, but it is also ridiculous. We had somebody bring up Dabo mentioned, like, ranking Ohio State number 11. And I don't know that there's anything necessarily wrong with that.
No, I'm okay with that.
It's all based on what you think, because this has no bearing on the college football playoff. Like,
but even if it did, that's more of a credible ranking than what we've gotten from these people.
Yeah, I agree 100%. USC, by the way, the only top 25 team that has opted out of playing in a bowl game. There's been a ton of other ones that have just said, man, this is too much. We're done with this season. Just move on to the next one. The bowl thing is not worth it. There's a lot of teams that are like, hey, we want that money. Hey, we want the extra practice time, whether it's a month or so, not even a month, a couple of weeks. They just want the extra game. They want to be able to compete. And I don't blame them for that. So, and there's some that don't, and I don't blame them for that. So I'm glad that we've got a bowl season one way or another. Let's jump off of all this. Let's dive into some actual games. Let's talk about the playoffs. We'll start first with the CFP semifinal in Dallas. That is Alabama and Notre Dame. That's interesting, right? That's an interesting matchup. Notre Dame got their doors blown in. It's 4 p.m. Eastern time on January 1st. So looking at who Notre Dame has played, I would not expect Najee Harris to go crazy in this game, right? North Carolina could not run on them. Other teams could not run on Notre Dame. Even Clemson could not run on
Trevor Lawrence was the only one that could run on them.
Right.
Trevor ran on them. And we talked about the difference between a spy trying to cover somebody as opposed to running a defense against someone.
Yes. Alabama center, Landon Dickerson.
Is he out?
He is out.
I figured he was going to be out after that injury, but I didn't know how bad it was.
Ligament damage against Florida. He's out for the playoffs. However, they could be getting wide receiver Jalen Waddle back.
I don't think there's any way Waddle's playing. Oh, okay.
The word is that if he doesn't play in the playoff game, he will be back for the championship game. Now, I don't think he should, but that's just me. I mean, if he wants to get out there, win a championship, whatever, like, he wasn't a part of that 2017 team. So he hadn't won a national championship yet. So if he wants to play, I don't fault him for that.
It would help him a lot in the draft, because then it would put a lot of people at ease
about his injury.
Oh, he's able to run. Like, oh no, he's good now.
Yes.
Because they would actually get to see game film and not workout.
Right.
Because the Underwear Olympics, there's a lot of coaches out there that know, I don't know how healthy this guy really is, because he's not actually getting hit.
William says, I jumped on Bama's team total over 43 already. Vitalis said, I like that. And Taylor said, Gary, were you getting worried at all on Saturday? Hell yes, I was worried. My goodness. Look, this is exactly what we had talked about before, where Florida had been gearing up for this game for weeks.
Yeah.
Like they did not put anything into like the last 4 games of the season, and they didn't have to. They could still get wins. Now against LSU, it got a little fluky because, by God, there was a fog and there was all this other stuff that had to happen for LSU to get the win. Now that doesn't mean LSU didn't deserve the win. LSU showed up, but by God, Florida came out with their hair on fire against Alabama, and they played really, really well. So yes, I was absolutely nervous late in that game for sure. Early in the game, I felt
pretty good.
Okay. This is all right because we're able to run on them. Like Najee Harris was bananas early in that game. But then once Florida figured that out, Florida was able to score. It just became a whole thing. Either way, my question here is, because Florida obviously had that offensive firepower, once Kyle Trask got going, like it's not just Alabama's defense. There's not a defense in the country that can stop firepower like that. We've seen it with Clemson. We've seen it with Alabama. We've seen it with Ohio State. We've seen it with whoever, right? Florida, especially. This situation here, I don't know that Notre Dame has enough firepower.
No, they don't. The only thing Notre Dame's got, the only chance they have is that Alabama has problems at the center position. That is the one offensive lineman that I don't think you can just take one 5-star out and put another 5-star in.
Right.
And not have cohesion. Now, the fact that you run a lot of shotgun helps this a lot.
Yes.
If this was 10 years ago and this was Nick Saban under center every snap, I would actually be worried because this front 7 of Notre Dame's good.
Yes.
And you don't want a weak center. But with 90% of your plays coming out of shotgun, it makes me feel a lot better about it. Just get the snap off and you're okay. Even if he can't block as good, the other 4 can block. The straightest, direction to a single point is a straight line, the shortest, and going through the center is going to be something Notre Dame's probably going to try to do.
Oh yes, absolutely.
That front 7's big. If they can get push up the front, they're going to need Najee to be great in space, which he is, or they're going to need Mac Jones to get the ball. So the problem is they take a lot of what Smith does out of the game if they can get pressure, because nobody has really pressured Mac all year. And that's going to be the one thing that'll be different. You haven't gone up against a great defense that has any pressure at all. You will this time. Smith can't get 30 yards down the field.
Agreed.
If you pressure.
Yeah, you will have to. It'll be a lot of yards after catch.
Now, that opens the screen game up like crazy, and you dump the ball off to Najee, and it's sick.
Yeah,
but that's the thing that kills you, right? That's why Bama's so dangerous is if somebody comes with pressure, we just dump the ball off. And if they can't get pressure, we just have somebody wide open deep.
The line on this, by the way, total is 65.5. It's currently sitting Alabama minus 19.5, 20 at some spots, whatever. Birdie jumps in. He said, Notre Dame has to have value here. Brian Kelly will have them going. Last week meant more to Clemson than Notre Dame. And I don't know that it meant more to Clemson than Notre Dame, but...
Well, one team needed it and the other team didn't.
That's... Still, I don't know that. I think Notre Dame still wanted to win the game.
No. They still wanted it. One team was desperate and the other one wasn't.
It's
really hard to false up some fake motivation when you're not desperate.
Agreed. Prediction tracker average, by the way, the analytical average for
Give the numbers out. You were going to, you didn't.
Oh, no. Alabama minus 19.5 and 65.5 for the total.
Okay.
The prediction tracker has it Alabama minus 15.6.
Yeah, I think
there's value.
I saw it at 20. I do think there's value at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And
I do think Alabama will win this thing handily because they have more ways to score. Notre Dame does not have the wideouts to now. The way that Notre Dame could absolutely do this, if they are able to run the football,
they've got to slow this game down.
They can absolutely slow this game down.
We need this game to be 2.5 hours and piss off all the commercial breakouts.
Yes. The part of this that is surprising, if you really dig into the analytics, Alabama has better defensive numbers than Notre Dame. And I understand, but if you look at who Notre Dame has played,
I'm not worried about that.
I'm just
take out the 2 Clemson games, and that changes completely. And Alabama hadn't played a team nearly as good as Clemson all year.
Well, you take out the Florida game and the Ole Miss game.
No, because you played Georgia with a god awful quarterback. You played A&M at the second week of the season when they didn't know who they were or what they were doing.
Okay.
Like you played one good offense the whole season, and that was Ole Miss, and they gave you an absolute run for your money.
Notre Dame has played North Carolina and Clemson twice. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, you look at who they've played, and it's a little surprising to look at the numbers, right? Now, I don't know that means that Alabama is going to be able to stop Notre Dame, but what I do know is one-dimensional offenses kind of have issues against Nick Saban's defense.
Oh, well, yeah, no. Anytime you're one-dimensional against a team that's got 11 5-stars on the other side of the ball, that's scary.
Right.
It doesn't even matter who the coach is.
The tight end position is one that Notre Dame will be able to exploit because they've got several guys that catch the ball.
They've got 3 tight ends that are all big.
And I don't know that there's a single linebacker in the country that came back to school that has cost himself more money than Dylan Moses. He cannot cover.
He can tackle, though. He can tackle.
Yes.
The guy's going to catch the ball, and then he's going to go down. They're not going to get yak.
Or they're going to get pass interference calls
or whatever. Fine too. They're not going to get yak, okay?
Yeah.
And they're not not a lot of touchdowns except for in the red zone. But, yeah, Moses has cost himself. A lot of guys came back this year that cost themselves some money.
Oh, yeah.
Can you think of anybody that came back, and this is a question just straight off the head, that actually made a lot of money?
Najee Harris. If Najee had gone last year, like
here's the problem,
he would have been like the 4th or 5th running back. I understand. I know.
He'll be the number 1 running back drafted, but he'll still go very end of the first round.
Devonta Smith,
maybe second. Well, Smith, okay.
Because Smith could have gone last year, but he wouldn't have gone ahead of Ruggs.
Well, he would have been way late. Yeah. Way late.
He still could have been a first rounder, but it was teetering first round, second round, whatever. Like now he's going to be a top 10 pick.
Well, yes.
Easily. And he's the favorite to win the Heisman right now, which 15 receptions, 185 yards, a couple touchdowns in the championship game. Not bad. Not bad. Birdie said, "You got it, Gary. Ugly that baby up." What do you guys think of the under? Chris, correlating Notre Dame and the under makes sense to me. You got me thinking this way, Chris, and I like it. I agree.
I mean, it didn't work out for me with Clemson, but that's
I do.
It did work out with me with Florida with the over in Florida.
Yes.
So, I mean, I correlated both of those games in a parlay. Didn't take one side, just parlayed it together because I thought one can't happen without the other.
That's 100% true.
That was my sign.
Notre Dame, if this game goes over, Notre Dame will not cover.
They will not cover. They will not cover the 20. They will not cover the 19.5 if it goes over. If it stays under, I think they will because it's hard to stay under. Yeah.
So might as well parlay them. So now Leonard jumps in here and he said Bama minus 19.5 is the play.
Well, now if you like Bama, it could go over or under, so you just take the play.
Yeah, you just take Alabama. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you.
If you like Notre Dame, there's no reason to not parlay that.
And so statistically looking at it, Bama, statistical numbers are better on offense and defense, which was really surprising to me. I don't know why, but either way, it looks like an easy play for Alabama, which is why I would take Notre Dame. That's the whole
world will be betting Alabama. Every bookmaker out there will be needing Notre Dame. So I like being on that side.
I'm going to wait and see if this thing gets to 21.
I think it's gonna, but
I think it is too. We still got a little while to go before it gets there, but yeah. Ryan said, "Hey guys, Notre Dame burned me on the spread against Clemson." You're not the only one, brother.
That's why you come back to the table the next week.
Yeah. Hey, let's move on. Let's talk about Clemson right quick. Clemson and Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl. Now, both of these games on January 1st. The Alabama game at 4 p.m. Eastern time. This one at 8 p.m. Eastern time. This one down in New Orleans. Now, first off, the location, a little strange that they didn't have Alabama in the Sugar Bowl because that is the SEC tie-in.
Alabama chose to go to Dallas.
Yes.
And you know why?
So did you hear the kid saying that he was going to be partying on Bourbon Street? Yeah, I think that's a part of it.
Nick Saban said, huh?
The other part of it is in Jerry World, you can have 16,000 tickets. In New Orleans, you can only get, like 8 or 10?
Yeah, something. It's significantly smaller. Gotta get the words out.
Yes. So in Dallas, you can have more people. You can, and there ain't exactly a Bourbon Street to go get in trouble on. So
no, that stadium's like 20 miles away from anything cool to do.
Exactly. It's just out in the middle of a field, which is
a lot of concrete.
Yeah, it's a lot of concrete. You got that right. So anyway, Clemson is a 7.5 point favorite as we sit here right now. 65.5 is the total. So same total as the other game, which kind of surprises me. It's 8 p.m. Eastern time on January 1st. It is the late game. The Big Ten changed their 21-day rule.
Hey, imagine that.
So we would
compromise begets compromise begets compromise.
Exactly.
Sell your soul once and you will sell it 1,000,000 times.
We would expect Chris Olave, the wide receiver, linebacker Baron Browning, punter Drew Christensen. All these guys are expected back because They don't have to sit out for 21 days now. Now it's 17 days.
How long until we need them to play? We'll make a couple of days before that. How do you come up with 17? How do you pull that number out of your ass?
If they had just gone with the CDC thing of 10 days.
We follow the science.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what they did.
So they changed that rule up. So we would expect a full roster for Ohio State unless something else happens, and who knows, something is likely to, I would imagine. But even still, if they don't report it, then it is what it is. Defensively, Clemson has impressed this year. They have looked really good, much more so than Ohio State. Offensively, both teams can win multiple ways. Ohio State has shown that they can fling the ball around a lot. They can also run the ball if need be, like they did against Northwestern. They could not throw on Northwestern, and yet they ran for 400-plus yards. Trey Sermon was an absolute beast in that game. Clemson has won and covered in all 3 of their meetings with Ohio State since 2014. It was 2014, 2016, 2019. Last year was the more surprising because a lot of people thought Ohio State was the best team in the country last year, and they just got. So the overall talent edge is to Ohio State. I don't know what that means because Clemson has shown that they know how to develop guys.
Yeah.
Big part of their secondary, Nolan Turner, not Smith, excuse me. He's going to miss the first half. Got ejected for targeting in the first half or second half against Notre Dame in the SEC title game. That's going to be big. The prediction tracker average is Clemson minus 2.09. I think that is much more likely. I think Ohio State keeps it within this number. These two teams are really good. As much crap as we talk about Ohio State, this is still a highly talented team, a really well-coached team. I think that they can stay in this game. It's not that I don't think Clemson is good. I think Clemson is great. I think this is very similar to what last year was. Last year was 29-23, and that was a 2.5-point line. Ohio State has not played a lot of games. They are the fresher team, I guess you could say. I mean, who knows, right? At this point, I think it's an advantage to make sure that you've got all your guys healthy. But I also know they've been dealing with COVID issues. I don't know which way I want to roll with this.
We disagree a lot.
I like Ohio State here.
We disagree big.
I think
Clemson's going to kill them. I do not think this is Ohio State. This Ohio State team has played 2 good teams.
Yeah.
2 good stories. That's what they've played. They played 2 good stories, but not great
Northwestern
teams.
And Indiana.
And they barely beat both of those teams.
So, but you don't think that they're talented enough to be able to
play with Clemson? I do not. I think a lot of that talent, all those stars next to those people's names, are vastly overrated.
I don't know about that.
I do.
I think Ohio State's pretty good.
Nope. One of my best bets this bowl season will be Clemson covering this number and covering it big. I think they'll beat the hell out of them. I think if there's ever been a team that did not deserve to be here, they are here only because of the laundry on their uniform, and that is it.
I mean,
that's
100%
it. And those teams, every year somebody gets in because of their laundry, and every year that team gets MFing housed. Every year.
Do you think Notre Dame got in because of their laundry?
No, I do not. I think Notre Dame got in because people were sick of the SEC. That's why.
You're probably right about that.
That's why.
Probably right about that.
The Big Ten was running this committee, okay? And the Big Ten needed to prop up the Big Ten, but they also know we have to find a way to suppress the SEC because they are the ones we're in competition with.
Okay. Casey jumps in. Coastal should have been matched up against a big dog. Birdie said, I'm picking Ohio State to cover in this game. This game's going to be awesome. I lean Ohio State to cover and believe Clemson wins on the last play of the game.
I just think it's funny that we think Clemson is this much better than Indiana or this much better than Northwestern. That's why.
Hey, Birdie said, don't get mad at me, Chris, but is there a chance you have a bias towards Ohio State?
No, because I hate Clemson. You haven't been listening long enough. They're outside of Alabama. I really hate Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson. They just all started being really good lately, okay? This hatred goes through the 90s, all right? They weren't this way when I first started hating them. It ain't I hate them because I ain't them. I assure you of that. They could all – I'm not going to say that because that'll get me canceled. That'll be one of the worst things I've ever said publicly. but know that I think something pretty awful about all of them. Dabo Swinney is one of the worst human beings that I can think of.
Birdie said, LOL, I said don't get mad.
No, I know. I loathe all of them.
Hey, okay? Ryan's been watching. He said Chris hates Clemson more than he hates Carson Wentz.
Yeah. Oh, a lot more than Carson Wentz.
Look.
Not even close.
Let me jump in here.
This is what I've seen with my eyeballs of watching football. Tell me a game where Ohio State's looked great. I'm listening. I'm waiting.
You can't. The Michigan State game, but whatever, right? So I look at it this way. I do not believe that Ohio State deserved to be in the playoff.
I'll tell you what I think.
However,
honestly,
just let me finish. Just let me finish the conversation here.
Go ahead,
my thought. I believe that Ohio State did not deserve to be in the playoff. That does not mean that I don't think that they can be competitive in it. I think they can be competitive with Clemson, and I think they will stay within this number. You can get 8.5 out there right now, and I've already taken it.
No, that's fine. You can think that. Let me tell you what I honestly believe.
Go ahead.
If I could make the matchups be whatever I wanted the matchups to be, I really believe Notre Dame beats Ohio State if those teams played.
Okay. Ryan said, when Chris takes Clemson, please take him seriously, guys. It's rare that he praises them.
Yeah, I really hate that team. I really hate that team. And Gary's talking about the Heisman Award, but the Heisman Award's over. Okay, you can give it to anybody you want with all the stats. The best player in football is Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
he's the best. So are we going to give it to the best player in football?
Probably not.
Are we going to give it to somebody who plays on a team with 5 or 10 other great players? Are they all going to just share the award?
I mean,
because that's not how the award works.
Does Clemson not have
5 or 10? Do they have a Devontae Smith? Do they have a Mac? Do they have a Harry?
So does hold on. While we're on this, so having other good players on the team means that you're not as good?
No, to an extent, yes. To an extent, yes.
Because I think that Devontae Smith is the best overall player. Now, he doesn't have the crazy numbers or what. I mean, he's got crazy numbers, but
he wasn't even the best receiver on this team when Jalen Waddle was healthy.
No, I would disagree with that. Waddle was an absolute athletic freak, right? But the best receiver, yeah, he's absolutely. But I think he's the best football player.
Trevor Lawrence is the best player in college football.
I think he's the best quarterback in college football.
He's the best player in college football.
Yeah.
If Devontae Smith,
Leonard agrees with you, by the way.
If Devontae Smith hit the lottery tomorrow, but said, in order to take this $300 million, you cannot play another down of college football. You can go to the NFL, though. And he walked away. Alabama's point spread doesn't drop a point against Notre Dame. If Trevor Lawrence hits the lotto and has that offered to him, that number drops 10 points.
Yeah, I think Ohio State is then favored, right?
Yeah. So I'm telling you, the best player is Sir Trevor.
Birdie said it is very hard to get up as high as they got last week for Notre Dame for this coming game. I just think there'll be a slight letdown for Clemson here. Just
a letdown in a playoff game. Wow, we've gotten to that point. Somebody said it. And yeah. I love you, Birdie. I love you. You comment, you tweet at us. I love you. Somebody actually got to the point where they said a playoff is going to be a letdown. They have multiple weeks. You do know they're not playing this tomorrow, right? Like, they're going to get some time to get ready. They got 2 weeks to prepare. It's like 12 days.
Hey, you want to talk about interesting bowl matchups?
Yeah,
40 minutes in.
I can't get past that now. Now I'm kerflunkled here.
Ryan asked, are we watching the Steelers game today? We will be watching with Donnie and Kyle right here on the SBR channel.
Yeah, they're doing that thing live.
Make sure that you check that thing out on here. Just tune in about an hour after we get off the air, or 30 minutes after we get off the air.
It's pretty quick after I get off. We get off. I have no idea why I said that.
Let's talk about the most interesting bowl matchups, okay? Birdie said, I did not say letdown. I said slight letdown. And when we're betting numbers, it matters. Birdie, come on, man.
We're done.
We
have to move on.
Interesting bowl matchups. The first one I want to bring up is the Peach Bowl, Georgia and Cincinnati. Georgia's a 7-point favorite. This one's on January 1st before the playoff games. It's a total of 50 here. Prediction Tracker actually has Georgia minus 4.7. I worry a lot about the fact that Georgia could absolutely house this team. The Tulsa game did not make me feel very good about Cincinnati. The UCF game didn't make me feel great about Cincinnati. I've only seen them twice in the last month plus. I worry that Georgia is really coming into their own, and if Georgia beats this bunch and covers and all that, it's going to make everybody think that what Cincinnati did wasn't that impressive.
Yeah.
And that's what I hate about it, right? Because I do think that Georgia is pretty good. However, Bertie said, you do laugh at me every week. You laughed at me last week when I said Tulsa. He said, I'll keep working for respect. It's true. Ryan said, since he didn't look good last week. No, they didn't. And that's I don't know how it gets bigger than that game, right? Like, I don't know how you're more fired up for Georgia than you were for Tulsa when it comes down to.
Any world where it's just rust? I mean, you talked about how they didn't play for a month. Well, they got to play.
Yeah, well, now they got 2 weeks off again.
Yeah, but it's 2 weeks off of you're playing now. They weren't supposed to have a month off.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That's starting, stopping.
So that's what I'm worried about, right? Like I don't know how this is going to go. I have no idea how to even begin to handicap this game. Like typically I would roll if I'm getting Cincinnati and a touchdown. I don't care who the opponent is really. I'm going that direction because I know that Cincy can score. I know that they can do all, and I know that they've got a good enough defense. This JT Daniels thing that's going on at Georgia, right? And I know they hadn't played like really good teams, but that offense has picked up, man. That Todd Monken offense is rounding into form. That's what I'm worried about. Lomar said Georgia's going to have some key players opt out of this game. Not sure the Dogs bring their A game for this one. You say that, but like they haven't yet. So
therein lies my issue with this is if there is a football god, and Ohio State, Northwestern proved that there isn't. But if there is, there is. And Cincinnati wins this thing, we already have the built-in excuse that everybody that could opt out of this game for Georgia is going to opt out.
We did talk about this before we came on.
Every one of them are going to opt out. Just so Georgia has the built-in excuse that we weren't really trying. It doesn't really matter to us. It's bigger for them than us. We're playing for bigger things, and we don't care about this game.
I mean, let's see. He said this has got a UCF Auburn feel to it, or Georgia wins by 700. So that's William saying that. Jose jumps in. Potato Bowl, Albertson Stadium, Tulane, Nevada. Who do you guys have? We've already got a video up about that, as a matter of fact. So, let's say, we're going to have an article and a video for every single bowl game. This is just like an intro kind of thing. Like we'll give out some early
SBR will have an article and a video.
Yes.
We will do the video.
We're doing the video for every single bowl game. So, let's jump off of that one. Let's talk Orange Bowl right quick. Orange Bowl, Saturday, January 2nd, A&M, Texas A&M. Make sure I get that correct. Texas A&M, 7-point favorite. I mean, there's Florida A&M. There's
as a joke.
And North Carolina,
the
right?
Worst one I'll have.
7-point favorite for Texas A&M. 68.5 is the total. Prediction Tracker actually has A&M minus 5.39. Thoughts?
Yeah. As long as A&M doesn't have just a gazillion opt-outs, A&M is going to beat them to death with a shovel. There's no team about this. There's no team that is more pissed off about getting screwed than A&M. And they have a valid claim to it, by the way. They have one loss on the year, and it's to the one team that's beaten the hell out of everybody. So if that's your only blemish, I don't really know what we're supposed to do. We're just going to punish A&M for a loss to Alabama, but we're not going to punish anybody else for any of their losses that aren't nearly as good as this.
I mean, yeah, I'm with you. Let's see. Lomar talking about Georgia. He said Trey Hill, Ben Cleveland, Eric Stokes, Richard LeCount, Monty Rice, all expected opt-out. I mean, we'll see.
That for Georgia?
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
UNC's already had 3 starters opt out: leading tackler, leading receiver, and leading, I think, rusher.
Like I said,
I haven't seen the leading rusher.
Don't know any of that. Don't care. I'm telling you this: they could all bring their best game, and Jimbo Fisher is going to set North Carolina on fire.
So the only
this is going to be a red wedding type situation. He's leaving everybody dead.
The only question that I have here is the number 5 teams typically, when they get left out of the playoff,
have a letdown.
It's a letdown, and it's a big letdown. It's Georgia losing to Texas type letdown.
Yeah,
right?
I get that. The problem is I don't think any of those teams are coached by anybody who is spiteful. Yeah. Kirby Smart is mentally soft. He ain't getting spiteful against anybody.
Okay,
Gus Malzahn, mentally soft. He's
Uh,
not getting spiteful about anybody.
Stephanie jumps in. If I send you guys homemade baked goods weekly, will you give me back my fiance? He's obsessed with you two. You are bordering on being invited to the wedding. And then William goes, "Oh my God, what are you doing, Steph?
Where's the wedding?
Well, cheers to the wedding. We'll pop up if it's relatively close, and
I
we're not
to be close.
We're not in protocol.
I'm just ready to get the hell out of here.
Well, I mean, we got to deal with the COVID stuff. I mean,
who's got to? You're talking. We live in two different worlds.
Hey, hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Gary WCE.
I'm at Chris B. Giannini. I'm a great person to bring to a wedding.
It is true. He's fantastic.
I pay my own way. I have a good time.
He was at my wedding.
And I bring really good gifts. It's called cash. Anybody who gives you anything else doesn't really love you.
Where you're ridiculous. Hey, congratulations, by the way, on getting married. It's a very fun time.
Cash.
Straight cash, homie. Straight cash.
That's what Birdie, you give to a wedding.
So Birdie said North Carolina had 3 big opt-outs. I haven't seen the leading rusher opt out for.
Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. We'll take Birdie's word for it. He's never lied to us.
Well, now I'm.
What do you think about this game, Gary? Because I think A&M's going to murder them. And I thought it before North Carolina had all their dudes leave.
I think that A&M has not played an offense that is decent since they played Florida.
Okay.
I worry that North Carolina will be able to put some serious points up.
All right. So let's pretend that North Carolina, Birdie's not a liar, and they're missing 3 offensive linemen. You think Mike Elko and this defensive bunch won't just run through them like shit through a goose?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'd likely. Lomar said he's a running back. Not sure he's the leading runner.
Well, if he's opted out, there's better damn well be the leading running back.
There's 2 really good running backs from North Carolina. So,
but what are the chances? Yeah, okay, that's fine. So he might not be the leading guy, but he's a guy.
If I had to pick the game today, right now, I would go A&M.
I'd pick it today. I'd pick it tomorrow. I'd pick it all the way. There's just I'm gonna need the line to get big for me to not like A&M.
We got 10 minutes left before we got to get out of here.
Let's go.
He's Michael Carter for North Carolina. That kind of changes.
That's gonna matter.
Yeah. So I'd roll A&M.
Plus Casey said North Carolina money line. That makes me like it even more.
The Boca Raton Bowl, UCF and BYU. BYU 6.5 point favorite there. Total 75. It's a lot of points. I think we could get a lot of points here.
Oh no, I like the over. And I don't like over-unders. I'm really bad at over-unders in bowl games. I don't like the over. I like the over. I think both these teams will score.
BYU minus 6.5. Here's the thing. BYU, I think, can at least get stops. I don't know that UCF can get stops on this team.
That's factual.
I would roll BYU here because
BYU's going to score every possession. Punter can stay at home.
Any of these interesting to you? I've got several more written down. Coastal Carolina and Liberty in the Cure Bowl.
It pisses me off, but yeah, I'm glad we're getting this game. I wanted to get this in the regular season, and I wanted to see both of these teams get invited to play a Power 5 school, and we didn't get that.
Yeah.
I like that game. Another game I'm crazy interested in is my Ole Miss Rebels against Indiana.
That's the Outback Bowl, Saturday, January 2nd.
That upsets me.
Line is 6.5. It's going down. And not by much. It opened at 7. It's down to 6.5. There's money coming in on Ole Miss. They're missing Elijah Moore. They're missing Yabora. They're missing, it's several guys.
It's going to be the same team that played against LSU in a rainstorm, though.
Yeah, and they still put up points.
That's it. They're going to put up points. That's what Lane's going to do.
How many points, though?
Yeah, because Indiana's defense is good, but are they great?
No, I don't think.
And you know how much I love Tom Allen. See, it's a problem. I got 2 coaches I love, and I got to watch them go against one another. I want to watch both of these teams play somebody else.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I would love to see that. I'd love to see that. I've got San Jose State and Ball State. I think that could be a really fun game.
I'm actually really excited about that one as well.
Those.
But I want to see San Jose State rewarded for their season with an opportunity to take down a Goliath.
Here's what I'm worried about with that game. I think Brent Brennan is going to get the Arizona job. So I don't know that he will be the coach by that point.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
So that would definitely suck, but still, San Jose State, this is
Can we talk about why it's important that these G5 schools get to play these P5 schools?
Yeah, jump in.
I know we got to get out of here. I know we got to get out of here. It's important for a reason. The story of David versus Goliath matters in the realm of sports because David, I'm not going to get biblical, I assure you of this. David was we're all a bunch of gamblers and sinners anyway. You don't need the guy that swears all the time to tell you about that. David was a shepherd.
True.
He was just tending to his sheep, and he heard this big giant cursing his God. He said, "Oh, what are you soldiers doing? You're not going to kill this guy?" Cursed our God. And the king Saul sat in his tent, did nothing. He was afraid.
He's hiding.
David went down there and he killed him. Later, David becomes king. You don't get to become king if you don't get the opportunity to be David. We have to give these G5 schools an opportunity to play the Power 5 schools so that they can have the chance to one day become David. You can't be king unless you take down Goliath. It's just not allowed. You have to get there. And we're not even letting them play David.
But I think you just answered the issue, right? Because the one who sets up the matchup,
they're afraid.
They're absolutely.
Oh no, they're afraid. Goliath only has to play Goliath.
Now this all went to the wayside when the NCAA had to give up TV rights.
Yes.
Back in the early 80s. Who was it? Was it Georgia and Oklahoma? I think that sued for the right to their own television deals.
That's right.
All that stuff changed, and the NCAA really has nothing to do with the FBS other than making sure the rules are followed, right? But they don't capitalize off of it. They don't make the money. These conferences, they do their own TV deals. They do their own whatever, and that's all that this is TV shows. That's all the bowl season is. It's not a tournament. It's not anything like that. It is, we want to put the biggest names in the biggest matchups so that we can make the most money from the most eyeballs. And that's what this is. I think it's completely wrong.
I think
it's
wrong.
Immoral. It's absolutely not the way that it should be.
It's the reason it's important. When people ask, why should I care about these little schools playing the big schools? That's why.
Yes.
That's why. Because 10 years from now, that game could set forth the wheels in motion to change the rest of college football's landscape.
Casey K jumps in. There were some guys talking about I need games. Casey jumps in and said Florida -3 is a lock.
Love Florida -3.
Against Oklahoma?
Yes.
So I'm worried about the fact that Kyle Pitts is not going to play.
I don't care.
You don't think so?
No. Kyle Pitts matters against LSU or against Alabama. Kyle Pitts matters against a game that actually matters and they got to have. All right. This Oklahoma team they're Oklahoma. Okay. They run into a high-powered SEC team. They're going to be Oklahoma.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Birdie said, I got to watch It's a Wonderful Life with the wife. Thanks for the info and the wisdom in case I don't see. Hey, you'll see us. No worries. We're going to be around. We are going to be around. Other games that are interesting. We did the Florida-Oklahoma game. Very interesting. San Jose State, Ball State, Iowa State, Oregon. I do kind of like that matchup. And I really hope that Iowa State wears like their traditional uniforms, like that red and that green around Christmas time. That's going to be awesome.
I'm turned off by this for the simple fact that this is no fault of Iowa State. It's not their fault that they are grossly overvalued and overranked. That's not their fault.
This is 100% true.
That's not their fault. I love Iowa State.
That's what I was going to say.
They get to wear the banner and the shame of being the team that is falsely propped up.
This is true. This is true. Birdie said Merry Christmas to you both. Hey, Merry Christmas to all of you as well. We will wrap up with this Oklahoma State, Miami. That's an interesting one. The Cheez-It Bowl. Oklahoma State is actually favored by a couple of points there. I would have loved to have seen either of these teams play anybody else because I don't think this proves a damn thing about any of them.
All we did was protect Goliath.
Buffalo and Marshall are two teams that have completely fallen off due to one game.
Two bad games. Two bad games in a row from Marshall in a row. Both of these teams coming off of a real bad games.
Yes, this is true. That's the Community Bowl. That one's on Christmas Day. So early bets and leans. I like BYU -6.5. I like Ohio State +8.5. I know you disagree with that one.
Yep.
I kind of like Northwestern -3.5.
So I do too.
So I'm going to roll with that, and I think I like Iowa State -4 against Oregon. I think that tight end bunch with Brock Purdy, so long as Iowa State shows up, I think they can handle this game. So those are the ones that I like right now. Obviously, we're going to have a different video for every single bowl game along with our picks, and we'll let you know what we like from there.
I'll give you mine.
Go ahead.
Mine. I got A&M. I like Clemson. I like Florida. And that's probably it for right now.
Yeah, for today, I think. Yeah, that should be
these
fair.
are early leans.
So with that said, let's see. Lomar said, Iowa State will rout Oregon. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Casey said Buffalo money line. I mean, they're only favored by 3. Like, I don't know that you have to go money line on that because I kind of feel like Buffalo was going to win that game pretty handily. Something happened with Marshall. Something bad.
Something has. Well, their quarterback has turned into a pumpkin.
Yes, very much so.
It hit midnight, and that guy turned terrible.
Let's see. We have 1 more minute to go. If anybody wants to hop in and ask about any of the games or bring up any game that is interesting. Did you have another one that was interesting?
No, I mean we've covered all the ones that I like. I'm just really mad at the matchups. I'm really mad at the matchups.
What about Kentucky and North Carolina State?
Worst. That's
an awful matchup.
Hang on. Actually, I do. I love North Carolina State in that game.
Think so?
Yeah, I don't know why Kentucky's favored.
That stinky line, right? That's what I thought when I first saw it. I said that line stinks.
No,
line
I don't
stinks.
think people respect North Carolina.
I mean, maybe not.
North Carolina State.
William jumps in. He said, best show ever. Glad I came across it when I did. Now locked and loaded forever. Thanks for the entire season.
Hit me up on Twitter, William.
Absolutely. So, yes, follow us on Twitter. I'm at Gary WCE.
I'm at Chris B. Giannini. Seriously, DM me.
SBRpicks.com/NCAAF is the website. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Go ahead and like this video. Share it out. Tell your friends about it. All that good stuff. This is the last live show of the season, but we still have plenty more bowl videos to come.
A lot of content coming your way.
Just a ton of stuff. And then after the season, there is no off season in college football. We're still going to be putting out stuff all the way through, like the NFL draft, et cetera, et cetera. Lots to discuss with that. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. SBRpicks.com/NCAAF. Subscribe, share, like the video, jump in the comments with the games that you like the most, all that good stuff. Is there anything else we need to hit?
That's it. Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. You guys have been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us all season long. For SportsbookReview.com, I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we will see you again with all the bowl videos.